So here I am on GitHub. I'm going to create a new repository. We have a couple people who have done it successfully. This is awesome. So I'm going to click New. I'm going to name my repository Groceries. This is the same name as the repository that I have locally. I don't have to add a description. And remember that this is where it says initialize with a README. I do not want to have that checked. It's not. I click Create Repository. It starts creating it. This is where the instructions are for if I already have code to push. So the or push an existing repository from the command line. These are the set of instructions that I want to follow. So I can just literally copy this right here. Copy this first line into my terminal, and I'll put this up on a new line so it's more clear. Remembering that I'm inside of my code shopping repository. So I paste this in, git remote add origin. Mine is git at GitHub danger ranger / groceries. Yours will be different. I hit enter. And now I go back to the second line. This is also an important line. And I just grab git push -u origin master. The -u is oftentimes omitted, but it's important for if changes are made by your collaborators, if you're able to easily get those changes. And if you include it, it will be easy. And you hit enter. And now I've pushed my changes up to GitHub. It doesn't look like much has happened yet, but let's go back to GitHub and see what these changes look like. So I come back in here. Now I'll just refresh. And boom. Now my changes are up on GitHub. My groceries.txt is there, like this. But also more importantly, all my commits are here. So I see all the commits I've made, and I can see what I made on each one of these commits. So this was the initial, and this was the update. And it shows me that I removed Chunky Monkey Ice Cream, and I added ketchup. So why did we do all that? Well, now, if I go into groceries, imagining that I was somebody else, okay, a different person. So I'll clone this. I can click clone or download, and I can say grab this with a clipboard copy. I could open up a separate terminal window pretending I'm somebody else. And I'll CD back into code, just imagining that I'm not myself, I'm my collaborator. And I could do something like git clone and pass this in, give it my own name. So groceries, collaboration. And now I get those changes that have been created thus far. So if I did git log, I could see, sorry, I need to CD into groceries collaboration. That was my mistake. Now if I do a git log, I can see the changes that I made before. And if I were to make changes on this side, so if I were to edit that file inside of here, and now add a couple more, so well, we're gonna need some mustard and maybe some mayo as well. Save those changes and check my status. Well, I've modified my groceries, so I need to git add those. And if I git status again, I see that I've made those changes. So let's say git commits. And now I'm going to say added additional, well, I'm going to say needed some more condiments for the barbecue, right? So I want to tell it why, not what, because we can see the what. I commit that, and now I can git push. Those changes will go up to my repository on GitHub. I can see them on GitHub. I can come back in here and refresh. And I now have 3 commits, not 2. So I said needed more condiments for the barbecue. And lastly, I go back into my collaboration tab and I pretend to be somebody else for a moment. And so if I did git status in here, I note that I don't have any changes. No changes have been made. I'm like a different person now. And if I look at the code inside of here, if I did a code dot inside of this repository, well, my changes don't immediately propagate from one part of my machine to another or from my machine to GitHub automatically. I need to do a git pull. So that means I come in to my collaboration window and I say git pull and I hit enter. And now it goes and gets those changes to groceries.txt. And if I were to do a git log again, I see needed some more condiments for the barbecue. And if I look at my Visual Studio Code, well, oh, there's mayo and mustard. They've appeared. So all I need to do now in order to share my code with my collaborator is push to GitHub and have my collaborator pull from GitHub, and everything's gravy. Does this make sense, or is this totally confusing?
It's too much typing.
Cool. All right.